This is the reading that goes along with lesson 12, determining point of view. We're going to read another essay about extreme sports and use the study buddy and close reading to help guide our reading. To help me understand the author's point of view, I'm going to pause at the end of each paragraph and restate it in my own words. Your heart races, your blood is pumping, every nerve feels alive. For thrill seekers, the charge of extreme sports keeps them coming back for more. And of course, along with the excitement, there's the breathtaking rush of danger and risk. It's an almost irresistible combination. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to try to think about the author's main idea in each paragraph. In this first paragraph, whenever we're trying to restate what the author said, the main idea would be that for thrill seekers, extreme sports keeps them coming back for more, and that because of all of the excitement and the breathtaking rush of danger and risk. Okay, the combination of excitement and danger is the main idea of paragraph 1. If I'm looking at paragraph 2, let's move on. And what I want you to do is I want you to try to think about what the main idea of each paragraph is while I'm reading. Extreme sports enthusiasts are always aware of the dangers. Most would agree that proper training and the right equipment are absolutely necessary to help minimize the risk. Yet, even the most experienced participants will admit that training and equipment provide no guarantees when it comes to safety, so it's important to know what you're getting into. Okay, so think about what the main idea of this is. I would say that this first sentence could help you out with that extreme sports enthusiasts are always aware of the dangers, and they do discuss proper training and right equipment. And then the last paragraph talks about it's important to know what you're getting into because there's no guarantees when it comes to safety. Paragraph 3. Take whitewater rafting, for example. The raft is an inflatable boat designed to float down a rapidly flowing river. Split decisions must be made as rushing water shoots the raft past boulders toward hidden snags and over waterfalls. Controlling a raft's course can be exhausting. Still, rafting provides thrills at every turn and a wild ride. Okay, and actually use the close reading to help me. How does the author feel about whitewater rafting? Underline a sentence that gives his opinion of the sport. So the main idea of this has to do with what whitewater rafting is, along with possible dangers of whitewater rafting. And then the author says rafting provides thrills at every turn and a wild ride. Okay, that helps me understand his opinion on the sport. Paragraph 4 says bungee jumping is another high-risk activity attached to a long, stretchy elastic cord. Bungee daredevils jump from a high location such as a bridge. They experience the thrill of free fall until the cord suddenly jerks them skyward again. Okay, so this is talking about bungee jumping along with what it is and some of the thrill and excitement and danger of it. Okay, and then paragraph 5, it says reread the last paragraph to figure out why the author believes people like extreme sports. Circle phrases that explain the author's own point of view. So what is it that attracts people to extreme sports? Most people have few chances in their daily lives to feel the rush that comes from pushing themselves to their limits and winning against great odds. Extreme sports can fulfill the need for that adrenaline rush and the satisfaction that comes from meeting a personal challenge. Okay, so I've circled the phrases that explain the author's point of view. Okay, so taking a look at the 3 questions that go along with this, it gives you some hints. So 1 says, with which statement would the author most likely agree? I want you to read these statements, and then whenever you're looking at the hints to help you answer this question, I want you to reread the title of the essay, reread that last paragraph, and then pick out the answer choice that connects most closely with these sections. All right, number 2 says, which sentence from the essay best shows the author's point of view about whitewater rafting? Okay, so there are four possible answers. And I want you to pick out which sentence describes the author's feelings about whitewater rafting. Okay, and you can go back because we underlined a sentence that helps you with this question. And then for number 3, it says describe the author's point of view toward extreme sports. Include at least 2 details from the essay to support your description. And your hint is, what details and phrases does the author use to describe extreme sports and the feelings they create? I want to help you out here. You're going to create this in your own words. So your answer should be in words. But if I wanted to think about that graphic organizer that we looked at earlier, and I could make the same graphic organizer and provide to find my evidence and my point of view. I'm going to put POV for point of view. Okay, so my topic here is extreme sports. Okay, so some of the things, if I have to go back and look at what the author says, and some of the things that the author says, if I'm looking at this, we can go back. I see that the author uses extreme sports. They're talking about extreme sports being with thrill seekers, but this is a pretty good one right here. Breathtaking, rush of danger and risk. I think that's a pretty strong adjectives. And then we also circled some stuff down here earlier. The adrenaline rush and satisfaction. Okay, so I'm going to write a few of those really strong adjectives and verbs in here in my evidence. So I could say breathtaking, rush of excitement and danger. I could say fulfill need for adrenaline rush. Okay, and that helps me know that the author's point of view is that extreme sports provide people with a way to escape boredom. So you could use this to help you create your answer for this. So if you want to push pause while you're answering number 3 and use some of this, because you need at least 2 details from the essay to support your description of the author's point of view. So I've really helped you answer this question. You just have to reword it or rewrite it in a paragraph form at number 3. Okay. All right, we're going to read Flying Above the Water by Tyrone Schenkel. And this one is about kite surfing. And we're going to try to underline and circle things and point out things that help us know how the author feels about kite surfing. Okay. The title is Flying Above the Water. Most people try to avoid risk as much as possible. For extreme sport athletes, risk is their business. They put their careers, their bodies, and often their lives on the line to participate in their sport. The payoff is the indescribable rush that comes from doing what they do, as well as the knowledge that people watching are saying, "Can you believe that?" One of the newest extreme sports is called kite surfing. Matt Colfax is a sports pioneer. In the early 1990s, he began experimenting with the sport in Australia. Colfax explained how he got the idea. "I caught a glimpse on TV of large kites being used with beach carts, and I immediately, here's a picture, using such kites with my surf and snowboards. The idea of kiteboarding flashed into my mind and my imagination ran wild. In the early days of the sport, Matt sold a kite to Rebecca Nicholson, a young woman he met on the beach. She taught herself to fly it, and in 2003 became the first female world champion kite surfer. She had become Rebecca Colfax by then. Today, she and Matt spend their time promoting the thrilling sport. I'm going to go back and just underline a few things. So I've got, or circle a few things. I see thrilling sport, indescribable rush. And those are, I think, some pretty big things. I've also, if I want to practice the idea of restating what the paragraph is about, paragraph 2 talks about how Matt met Rebecca Nicholson. It looks like they got married, even though it doesn't say that. She had become Rebecca Colfax. That was just kind of a clue to tell me that they got married. And just kind of the beginning of that sport, how that came about. Kite surfers ride the waves on a board like surfers do, but they're towed along by large kites flying in the wind. The sport is related to several other water sports. It's like surfing and wakeboarding because of the board the riders use. It's like water skiing and windsurfing too, but the wind and the kite, not a boat or sail, provides the power. It's also similar to parasailing in that when the parasail rider builds up enough speed, he or she is pulled into the air. Kite surfers can get airborne too. In fact, that's one of the goals of the sport, to fly off the surface of the water and do tricks. Okay, so I think that might be kind of important. They can get airborne. 1 minute you're on the water and the next your heart skips a beat as you're soaring through the air, performing aerial tricks with your feet still attached to the board. When you land back on the water, the kite continues to pull you along at breakneck speed. Okay, so it looks like it can, this paragraph really kind of compares it to other water sports and wind sports, like parasailing and water skiing and windsurfing. And then it gives you a few details about how kite surfers and how exciting it is, and the goal of the sport is to fly off the surface of the water and do tricks. And it sounds like you can go really, really fast. Breakneck speed was even used. Because so much equipment is needed to go kite surfing, the sport can be expensive. To begin with, okay, so I'm going to kind of underline it. To begin with, you'll need to purchase a kite surfing kite. The kite you fly in the park on a windy afternoon won't provide enough wind power for the sport. Larger and stronger than backyard kites, kite surfing kites can carry more weight. Some are inflatable, and all are made of a tough fabric. You'll also need a harness to attach the kite to your body, and don't forget the kite lines and the control bar, which you'll need to control the kite. Another vital piece of equipment is the kite surfing board, of course. Some kite surfers use wakeboards, but as a beginner, you might prefer a board made especially for kite surfing. If you're kite surfing in warm weather, you won't require much special clothing. In colder temperatures, however, consider wearing a wetsuit to keep you warm. In some parts of the world, kite surfers are required to wear helmets, just like bicyclists are. Whether required or not, a helmet is always a good idea for your safety, as is a life vest. Okay, so just summarizing paragraph 4, it tells me that it could be expensive, and then all of the things that I would need if I were to be interested in kiteboarding. This adventurous sport, and I'm going to circle, remember, strong adjectives and verbs, is sure to provide an adrenaline rush as you enjoy the freedom of the wind blowing in your face. But kite surfing isn't an activity you can take up on a whim. It's a tough sport that can be dangerous for a beginner. After all, you could find yourself flying 40 feet in the air at a fairly frightening rate. 40 feet in the air at a fairly frightening rate of speed. Most kite surfers recommend that beginners get professional instruction so they'll be certain to obtain the right equipment and know how to use it. So this last paragraph, number 5, that I just read, sounds like it's telling us that it's adventurous, there's an adrenaline rush, but for beginners should definitely get some help, professional instruction. If you're ready to try this exciting sport, you'll want to know that Australia is the world's top kite surfing hotspot. Since it's also popular in Brazil, some surfers hope the kite surfing events might be added to the 2016 Summer Olympics, which will be held in that country. In the United States, the Hawaiian island of Maui and North Carolina coast off Cape Hatteras both offer good kite surfing conditions. Okay, so this is just giving us some places that kite surfing is happening around the world. It's certainly worth your while. It can certainly be worth your while to explore the sport of kite surfing. Okay, this is really helping me know how the author feels about kite surfing. If you're looking for the incredible rush of a new and exciting challenge, find a way to experience this extreme sport. Okay, so that last paragraph really helps me understand how the author feels, kind of seals it into how the author feels about kite surfing. Okay, your questions, you're going to read the sentence from the article. 1 minute you're on the water, the next your heart skips a beat as you're soaring through the air, performing aerial tricks with your feet still attached to the board. Based on the sentence, with which statement would the author most likely agree? I'm going to let you read those, but just keep in mind that one of these should go along with this statement and agree with this statement. Since the author said this, would the author also say which one of these would the author also say? All right, number 2, which sentence from the article best illustrates how the author views kite surfing? Okay, so pick out which one best illustrates how the author views kite surfing. And if you want to go back and take a look at some of the stuff we circled, you can do that. Number 3, which sentence most accurately describes the author's purpose for writing this article? Informing readers about the appeal and challenges, help readers understand why kite surfing can be expensive, wants to compare kite surfing to other types of extreme water sports, and wants to encourage readers to help make kite surfing an Olympic event. Now remember, pick the one that the whole article is about, not just a small detail in the article or only one paragraph of the article. Okay, that's my clue for you for that one. Number 4, in spite of his wordings, the author believes the thrill of kite surfing is well worth the effort. Which sentence from the article best supports the statement? Okay, and pick out which sentence best supports the statement that the author believes that the thrill of kite surfing is well worth the effort, even though he gives warnings about kite surfing. All right, and then number 5 says, although the author is enthusiastic about kite surfing, he also wants readers to know what they're getting into. What are some of the details that help him achieve this goal? So you're not telling me the details about only being enthusiastic. You're also giving me details about the author showing what they're getting into. All right, let me know if you have any questions, and happy reading. Good luck.